Shalom Ashpaka, greetings to you in the name of Yahusha Alahim, to the 12 tribes who are scattered overseas. This evening, I thought of just sharing with you, a few things that came to my mind and was laid upon my heart to share with you, which is related to, somewhat related to the previous study, which I recently made about 2 or 3 days back. Okay, so uh, in that study, in that video, I touch base upon that the apostles or the emissaries, all right, they did not go out to the pagans, all right, with the basharah. In fact, they went to the synagogues or the Knesset, you know, convincing both the Jews and the Gentiles. The Gentiles were the new converts in uh, the synagogue or Knesset, convincing them that Yahusha is Elohim. Okay, and he, as was his custom, as I think Acts chapter 17, talks about, it was Shaul's custom to go on every Shabbat, all right, and he would reason with the Jews and the Gentiles in the synagogue, proving to them that Yahusha is the Mashiach and he is the Elohim. Okay, so uh, the people who formed into the new covenant assembly, all right, were not from the pagan population. They were from the Judaic covenant, population that formed the assembly. Some of the synagogues, like I shared, the entire synagogues turned to Yahusha HaMashiach, like the Corinthian assembly. The ruler of that assembly of that synagogue was Crispus. I showed you, and how the entire synagogue turned to Yahusha HaMashiach. Now, the question arises. We see a 2000, almost a 2000 year gap. The people coming into the assemblies, and most of them forming into a Christian assembly. So the question arises today, when I am alive, I don't know what happened in history and from where those people came, all right, into the remnant assemblies. Okay, we don't have visibility about that, but I'm actually convinced in my mind that the people who came into the true assemblies, when they were in place, were the covenanted people, the people already who had the covenant of Abraham. They were holding on to the covenant of Abraham. A pagan never holds on to the covenant of Abraham. And this evening, I would like to share a few scriptures that proves this point, because I will talk about three messengers, and also will talk about what it is for me, today. Where should I go to preach the Bashara? Am I supposed to go out on the streets? Am I supposed to stand outside Christian assembly giving tracts, as people, stand outside the Pentecostal people? They hand over some brochures or some tracts, saying that repent, turn to Jesus or whatever. So am I supposed to follow those footsteps? What am I supposed to do? All right, whom am I supposed to preach the Basara? See, like I shared in my study on signs of times, and I elaborated and gave an exposition on Matthew chapter 24. All right, we are living in perilous times when there is apostasy. Okay, and we are almost seeing that the doors are being closed, because if you see the wise and foolish virgins, the parable, all right, the foolish virgins, when they went out to buy oil from Judaism, all right, the doors were shut, and they were knocking on the door, "Master, let us in." And the bridegroom said, "I never knew you, I don't know you." And they were put out. So there was a separation. Also, there's a separation of wheat and tares. All right, so I gave examples of various parables. All right, and we are told, those who are in the housetop do not enter into the house, those who are in the fields do not enter back into the house to get your clothes or not to be in the house. So I shared various parables also, which were the assembly time when the wheat and the tares, they lived together under the house, where I gave parables. I showed parables of the mustard seed, the smallest of all seed, grew up to be a huge tree, and the birds of the air, that is the fowls, the unclean creatures, made nests in its branches. Okay, then also showed you the parable of the woman taking leaven and mixing it in the dough and until the whole was leavened. So there were various parables that I covered on, and how the separation takes place, and once the separation takes place, what is in it for me in when I'm in the wilderness journey, right? The woman was fled to the wilderness for times dividing of time away from the face of the serpent. So this is where I need to find my calling and what am I supposed to do in order to help people come out, all right, into the wilderness journey, leaving their carnal or fleshly uh, nature that they have picked up from. So this is uh, an eye opener. Therefore, please bear with me. I will read out verse by verse. Let's turn to Revelation chapter 14, verses 6 to uh, 6 to 13. All right. So let's go verse by verse now to give you the context of Revelation chapter 14, verses 6. All right. The chapter begins with the 1,44,000. All right. Remember, I told you 12 into 12 into 1,000. The 1,000 number 1,000 is the complete number. All right, which talks about the completeness of Mashiach, and 12 apostles, 12 tribes into 12 apostles into 1,000 is 1,44,000, the complete congregation, of the remnant, all right, in all ages. So this is what we need to firstly understand, all right, where Revelation 14:1 says, and I looked and saw a lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written upon their foreheads. All right. And verse 2, and I heard a voice out of the heaven like the voice of many waters, and like the voice of a thunder, and I heard the sound of harpists playing their harps. Verse 3, very important. And they sang a new song before the throne and before the four living creatures and the elders, and no one was able to learn that song except the 144,000 who were redeemed from the earth. Okay, so no one was able to learn that song. So that song of salvation, all right, except for the remnant who were redeemed from the earth in all ages, all right, represented by 144,000 people, which the Jehovah Witnesses, talks about a literal number. It's not a literal number, it's a spiritual number, because the scripture always talks about spiritual numbers, and everything is woven for us to understand and decode it, to understand who these 144,000 people are. Like I told you, 12 tribes into 12 apostles, both covering the old covenant and the new covenant, and into their complete number, 1,000 is 1,44,000 or 144,000. Okay, so these were following the Lamb, and they were singing a song, and no one was able to learn that song except for this 144,000. So we need to understand that this was the first messenger. Now I come to the crux of the matter, where I will share what I saw from scriptures. So Revelation 14 verses 6, and I saw another messenger fly in mid-heaven, holding the everlasting good news to announce to those dwelling on earth, even to every nation and tribe and tongue and people. So John is saying, I saw another messenger. So who was the first messenger? All right, so the first messenger was figurative of these you know 144,000. Just a moment, I'll just confirm this. Okay, verse 6, and I saw. Okay, one second. Yeah, so Revelation 14:6 says that I saw another messenger. Now, if you see the Hebrew word for another, the word for another means akar, which means one who follows, okay, one who comes afterwards. Okay, and the Greek word for akar, equivalent Greek word is allos. Allos means else or more. Okay, someone who is else than the first one. Okay, so that's what it means. So the first one is a set of people, all right, who are shown as the remnant, and these messengers are not angelic beings, all right, because if you read the book of Revelation chapter 1, Yahusha has got 7 stars in his hand, the Kema and the Kesel, it says, and the messengers are the messengers to the assemblies. So the messages were to the messenger of the assembly. So that messenger is none other than we, okay, representing the remnant. So this is the first thing that we need to keep in mind. Okay, I'll read out Revelation chapter 1, okay, which says about the 7 messenger, 7 stars, okay. Okay, Revelation 1, verses 16. It says, and he had in his right hand 7 stars, and out of his mouth went a sharp two-edged sword, and his countenance was as the sun shineth in his strength. Okay, and we read down verse 20. It says, the mystery of the 7 stars which you saw in my right hand, and the 7 golden candlesticks. The 7 stars are the messengers of the 7 assemblies, and the 7 candlesticks which you saw are the 7 assemblies. Okay, so the 7 stars in his hand are none other than the 7 messengers of the assemblies. So that's what it says. Okay, so this another messenger flying in mid heaven, holding the everlasting good news or everlasting basharah. Now the Hebrew word for everlasting is olam, which means of ancient, right? And the Greek word is enos, G166, which means perpetual gospel or perpetual basharah since the world began. So both the Hebrew and the Greek words mean that it's an ancient basharah since the world began. So that is what this messenger flying in the midst of the heaven is proclaiming. Okay, and whom is he proclaiming to? To those on the earth. The English translates it as earth. However, the Hebrew word aretz also means the land. All right, the Greek word is G, Ge, as pronounced as G1093, contracted from a primary word soil by extension of a region. All right, what is that extension of the region? It's the land which is extended. It's a covenanted people. That's what it shows. Like people who are scattered. So the basharah, the everlasting basharah, is going to the ends of the world by means of extension of that same covenant to those people who have been chosen. So that's the whole picture over here, and this is where we need to understand and decipher what it's all talking about. And if you see the word nation, the Hebrew word is goy, the same word goim, all right, which is the plural for Gentiles. And we saw, right, Abraham was told, in you all Gentiles shall be blessed. So does it mean that in Abraham all pagans will be blessed? No, it's the covenanted people, the people who have lost their ethnicity, and that's the reason. If you see the same word over here, nation for Greek is ethnos, G1484. If you look up, you will see the, and I was amazed to understand, that it talks about, the extension of the covenant to the people, ethnos, the ethnicity, people who have lost their ethnicity. We are that people. Like, I do not know which tribe I am from. I don't know my ancestral lineage. All I know is that in Yahusha Mashiach, all right, I am from the lost sheep of the house of Yasharal. Remember, Yahusha said that I have been sent to the lost sheep of the house of Yasharal. That's what it means. Okay? And the Gentiles are not the pagan Gentiles, but the Goyim, which are covenanted people in Abraham who have lost their ethnicity, and when they hear the basharah, when they hear about Mashiach, who he is, they come back into the covenant. So that is the picture over here. The word tribe, all right, so it says that the basharah is given to every nation, and it also says, and the tribe. All right, the Hebrew word for tribe is mishpaka, which also means family. And the Greek word phule, G5443, means an offshoot. So see how these words are interrelated. So mishpaka, all right, mishpaka of whom? Of Abraham. Phule, an offshoot of whom? From Abraham. Abraham didn't know which tribe he was from, isn't it? The tribes came much later. The sons of Jacob, they formed the 12 tribes. So we go back into those roots. If we are the offshoot, we go back into the roots. That's a picture. And the Bashara brings us back into the roots. And tongue and people. So people is arm, and tongue is a language. So it's going to different people of different languages. We know what happened on the day of Shavuot. All right, who were gathered over there? Were they pagans who came to Jerusalem to worship? No, they were the seed of Abraham who was scattered to the ends of the earth, and they were obeying Moses' Torah that 3 times a year every male had to appear before Elohim, and not without a sacrifice. But were they saved? No, not until they heard the Bashara. And out of all those who came on that day of Shavuot, 3,000 souls were added, it says, when Kepha preached the Bashara. So they were of the seed of Abraham. So that's what we need to understand. So this another messenger, which is of the kind from the remnant, flying in mid-heaven. Heaven is a pattern, the heavenly pattern, holding the everlasting, which means the ancient Bashara since the world began, the good news to announce to those dwelling on the earth. All right, earth, like I said, is the land or the Arets, by extension of a region, to every nation. Goim, all right, which is the Gentiles who are blessed in Abraham by believing. The ethnos, the one who had lost the ethnicity, now come back to the ethnos, to the roots of the belief. And tribe, mishpaka, which is the family, all right, an offshoot of that family, and tongue and people. So what a beautiful picture. So this is the messenger, going out, preaching to the people in the midst of the heavenly pattern. People who are claiming that they know Abraham and they are following, the Bashara. So who are they? Think about it. I'll come back to that. Verse 7, saying with a loud voice, fear Elohim and give esteem to him, because the hour of his judgment has come, and worship him who made the heaven and the earth and sea and fountains of water. Now please notice over here, it's very, very important. If you understand, it says, and worship him who made the heaven and the earth. See the order that has been placed, heaven and the earth. It does not say earth and the heaven. Not that Yahuwah Elohim didn't make the earth and the heaven. So here it is talking about the spiritual pattern. All right, so they are this messenger who's saying with a loud voice, okay, gadul. The Hebrew word for loud is gadul, kol, voice, the singular voice, gadul, kol. All right, proclaiming that you need to worship the one who made the heaven and the earth. All right, the spiritual pattern, the one who has transitioned everything into the spiritual pattern. You need to worship him. That's what it means. Because he himself transitioned, right? And the word for fountains, you will be amazed. I was amazed to look up the Hebrew word ma'ayin. All right, ayin. The word ayin is the eye, and it's as the eye of the ground. All right, the source of that water. Remember, I told you about Chaim Maim, all right, which is the living waters. He is the source. That's what it means. And the Greek word pege, G4077, is the source of the supply of that water. So it says, worship him who made the heaven and the earth. Means he transitioned everything into the spiritual pattern, and sea and fountains of water. So the fountains of water is the eye of the ground, the source of that water, of that living water. Is none other than Yahushua HaMashiach. Verse 8, then it says, another messenger followed him. Now this is very, very important. So till now, we saw this messenger out of those 144,000 or 144,000 who sang a song which no man could ever learn that song except for them, and they are from the tribes of Yasharal, both the Old Testament as well as the New Testament. What are they talking about? They are talking about the transition. They are talking about an extension of that covenant. To whom? To the lost sheep of the house of Yasharal. So that's how the first, the second messenger, the another messenger went out with the basharah talking about the transition. All right? And as many as believed, they transitioned, they came, all right, into the covenant of Abraham, all right, where they realized their ethnicity was lost, and now it's only by believing in Yahushua HaMashiach, all right, he will give me back my ethnicity, my bringing me back to the roots. Doesn't Yahushua say, I am the root and offspring of David? All right, the bright and morning star. Hallelujah. So, verse 8, and another, right, again akar, who means one who follows, and Greek allos, else, more. All right, the messenger followed saying, Babel is fallen, is fallen. All right, so now the word for fallen in Hebrew is nafal. Okay, and twice, whenever anything is mentioned twice, I told you in scripture, verily, verily, all right, Babylon is fallen, is fallen. It is calling for a very important information that it cannot be missed, and we need to understand what this word means. All right, so that's what it means. All right, pause, understand, ponder. That's what it means. It's fallen. It's fallen. So where has it fallen from? The Hebrew word nafal means to fall, right? But the Greek word peto, which is G4098, is a root word in petomai, which is G4075, which means to fly. So the picture is of a bird learning to fly. Its mother is teaching it to fly, but it can never fly. It flutters, goes up, and boom, it falls down. That's the picture. It cannot fly. So it's fallen. It's fallen. It means surely it is fallen. It's never going to rise up again. That's a picture over here. Right? Flying and falling down. So someone who was in the covenant flew at a pace and fell down and could never rise again. That is Babylon is fallen, is fallen. And it always, I've always been talking about the signs of the times. It talks about the Hebrew roots movement. It's the evidence is very clear right in front of our eyes. And like I said, this is not a messenger from heaven. It is you and me who are preaching this basharah, telling and warning people. The whole verse says, and another messenger followed, saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of a whoring. All right. So, who makes all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of a whoring? What is the word for nations? Again, it's the word Gentiles. So, are all Gentiles going to be blessed or come into the back to the ethnicity to Abraham? No. So, Hashatan works, even among people who have lost the ethnicity, and they come back with a deception, thinking that they have got back the ethnicity, and they proudly, say that I am from the tribe of Judah, I am from the tribe of Naphtali. Just they make some ancestral calendars, and they try to link their lineage to them, and they boast. I've seen many people on Facebook doing that. Alright, but they are actually part of Babylon, because they do not understand anything about the covenant. Verse 9, and another third messenger followed them, saying with a loud voice, if anyone worships the beast and his image, and receives his mark upon his forehead and upon his hand, verse 10, he shall also drink of the wine of the wrath of Elohim, which is poured out undiluted into the cup of his wrath, and he shall be tortured with fire and sulfur before the set apart messengers and before the Lamb. Alright, so again, the same word akarai, the one who follows. The Greek word is akalothoi, which means to accompany. Somebody who accompanies the one proclaiming that Babylon is fallen, okay, and warns people not to not to worship the living creature or his image and receive his mark upon his forehead and upon his hand. Remember, in my previous study, I spoke about stigma. Alright? So stigma is also a mark, okay, and that mark is of not as people say 666. Alright, so the stigma is a mark of the living creature, that he's alive, and that living creature is saying, see, I know Torah, I'm following Torah, I'm doing the 7 feasts, and I'm doing I'm following the sun calendar or the moon calendar, and I'm saved, and I'm sanctified by doing these things. So that's what it means. So he's got a stigma, a scar of a wound which was healed, but was wounded, but was miraculously healed. That's what it means. And doesn't it say one of the heads of the living creature was wounded and it was miraculously healed? So what does that mean? That means that that living creature had subsided for some time, but has come back alive and is now claiming that I am that living creature. I am living. And he's trying to cling to Yahushua HaMashiach, doing the wrong things, doing the carnal things. So that's what it means. And who is this messenger who's proclaiming? He's warning people. He's warning this set of people. Come out of this system. Leave your assembly. Come out of this deception. Because if you are in it, you are actually worshipping Hashatan. You are taking his image on your forehead, right, and upon your hand. The hand talks about the will, and forehead talks about the mind. So the mindset is carnal, and the hand is the work. So beautiful if you understand the scriptures. And it says, Revelation 14:12, here is the endurance of the set apart ones. Here are those guarding the commands of Elohim and the belief of Yahusha. And verse 13 says, and I heard a voice out of the heaven saying to me, write, blessed are blessed are the dead who die in the Adon from now on. Yes, says the Ruach, in order uh, that they rest from their labors and their works follow with them. So you see, the messengers who are following one after the other, all right, is nothing but we whose works follow with us in the Ruach, the work of the Ruach. So we are showing the impression of the Ruach on our hearts, all right, by warning people to come out of the carnal system where Hashatan is occupied. And this is the basharah that we need to be preaching in our times. Not go out to the pagan world and tell them, that Yahusha has died for you. He has paid the price. They are not going to listen. It's not going to make an impact on them. But these people whom we have are going with the basharah, they are definitely going to listen if they are the elect of Yahusha. And I have seen that fruit happening because I have gone out and I have many people who have turned to Yahusha HaMashiach come and they have come out of the carnal system. So I'm not saying that I have done it, but it is Yahusha's work. This is the basharah he wants us to preach. And this is the warning that we need to give. And I can prove it to you. Let's turn to Yeshayahu or Isaiah chapter 52 verses 7 and 8. It says, how pleasant upon the mountains are the feet of him who bring good news, who proclaim peace and brings good news, who proclaims deliverance, who says to Sion, your Elohim reigns. Whom are they saying to? Who says to Sion? Does it say to pagan Gentiles? No. Your proclamation of deliverance, who proclaims deliverance, who says to Sion, your Elohim reigns. So that's how the feet of them are pleasant. It says how pleasant upon the mountains are the feet of him who brings good news, who proclaims shalom. Okay, and this good news of deliverance is brought to Sion, the covenanted ones who are claiming that they are in the covenant. We are warning them and we are saying your Elohim reigns. Right? And how he reigns in Yahusha Mashiach, that your transitioned Elohim, that's where we need to lead them to. Because once a person understands that Yahusha is Yahuwah in the transition form, that's it. Everything starts falling in place. Then you needn't even show them anything else. Once a person is convinced fully in his Ruach, when he understands who his Elohim is, the Ruach automatically brings him to the whole truth of the counsel. That's what happened with me. That's what happened with those who may be listening to this video and who have already transitioned. So you know what I'm talking about. Okay, verse 8, Isaiah 52:8. The voice of your watchmen, they shall lift up their voices. Together they shout for joy, because eye to eye they see the return of Yahuwah to Sion. What a beautiful, beautiful verse tied up to verse 7. It says, because eye to eye they shall see the return of Yahuwah to Sion. Remember I shared with you the fountain of waters, the word for fountain, Ma'ayin, the source, the eye. So every eye to eye shall see the return of Yahuwah to Sion. Can the pagan world see this? No. The pagan one cannot see it. Only the covenanted ones who are chosen. That's where we need to go to. Okay? Now let's see the context of these verses which Saul uses. So this is also very interesting, because Saul in Romans chapter 10, he's saying, whosoever shall call on the name of the Adon shall be saved, right? And then verse 15 he says, how shall they proclaim if they are not sent? As it has been written, how pleasant are the feet of those who bring the good news of peace, who bring the good news of the good. Right? He's quoting Isaiah chapter 52 verses 7. Okay, then verse 16 he says, however, not all obeyed the good news, for Isaiah says, Yahuwah, who has believed our report? And then he says, verse 17, so then belief comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of Elohim. He who has ears, let him hear. So not all ears will hear the word of Elohim. So belief comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of Elohim. So which means, that inner ear, the heart or the mind, all right, where the ear is to perceive and see that Yahuwah is returning to Zion, all right, in the person of Yahushua HaMashiach, the transition form, all right, that is the hearing, that is the seeing that it's talking about. Okay, now this is very interesting. Verse 18, it says, but I asked, did they not hear? Yes, indeed. Their voice went out to all the earth, and their words to the ends of the world. Psalms chapter 19, verses 4. So, Shaul the emissary is quoting Psalms chapter 19, verses 4 by saying that, but I asked, did they not hear? Yes, indeed, they heard. Their voice went out to all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. So that means, when the basharah was preached, they all heard it with their physical ears. Yes, indeed, that's what it's saying. And then he's quoting Psalms chapter 19, verses 4. So what happens in Psalms chapter 19, verses 4? If you turn to Psalms chapter 19, 4, it says, their line has gone out throughout all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them he set up a tent for the sun. Okay, so the word for line over there is kaum. All right, kaum, Strong's H6957, all right, has the root word ku, which is H6957, all right, which also means a measure or a cord. All right, so it's like a line, a measure, a measuring rod, all right, which is gone out through all the earth, and the words mala, to the ends of the world. Okay, so if you see over here, Zechariah chapter 1, verses 16, it says, therefore thus said Yahuwah, I shall return to Jerusalem with compassion. My house shall be built in it. Again, here see, Yahuwah is saying, I shall return to Jerusalem with compassion. Is it talking about Jerusalem of the Middle East? No, it's talking about the extension of that region, which we are talking about, the covenanted people, the Arets, which talks about the extension of the land where people have been scattered, to the ends of the earth. So Yahuwah in prophecy is saying, I shall return to Jerusalem with compassion. My house shall be built in it, declares Yahuwah Sabaoth. And a surveyor's line, again that same word, ku, H6957, be stretched out over Jerusalem. Verse 17, again proclaiming, saying, thus said Yahuwah Sabaoth, again my city shall overflow with goodness, and Yahuwah shall again comfort Zion, and shall again choose Jerusalem. So Yahuwah is again going to choose Jerusalem, not the physical land, but the extension of that covenant, all right, the covenanted people who are scattered to the ends of the earth. All right, he's going to comfort Zion, it says, and again choose Jerusalem. And he's going to gather his people into New Jerusalem. That's what it means, not to the Middle East. So a cord he uses to measure Jerusalem. The letter Kuf represents the sun or the moon on the horizon, all right, either rising up or setting down. So that's what it means. Okay, and Yahuwah is himself, and joining with his people, all right, not a solar or lunar calendar as some suggest, because the sun here is likened to a bridegroom coming out of his room and running its course, and the sun of righteousness shall rise with healing in its wing is mentioned by Malachi. But to you who fear my name, the sun of righteousness, that is SUN, Shamash H8121, the sun of righteousness shall arise with healing in his wings, and you shall go out and be scattered like calves from the stall. Malachi chapter 4, verses 2. So when you read Psalms 19, verses 4, which I will reread, all right, it says, the line has gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them he set up the tent for the sun. Okay, and verse 5, and it is like a bridegroom coming out of his room. It rejoices like a strong man to run its path. All right, and the sun of righteousness, the physical sun, all right, it was a type of the son of righteousness, that is Yahushua HaMashiach. And that's the reason when John sees him, he falls like a dead man, because his face shone like the sun in its strength. Right? So that's what we see in Revelation chapter 1. Okay, so the sun or Shamash H8121 is likened to Yahusha, the bridegroom, coming out of his chamber as a strong man, rejoicing to run the path of a circle with nothing hidden from his path, scorching all those outside the covenant, with burning like a furnace, burning all the proud and the wrongdoer as a stubble. All right. And as it says in Revelation 16:8, and the fourth messenger poured out his bowl on the sun, and it was given to him to burn men with fire. All right, and men were burned with great heat, and they blasphemed the name of Elohim, who possesses authority over these plagues, and they did not repent to give him esteem. Verse 9 of Revelation chapter 16. So those outside the covenant will be scorched with severe heat, turning them to stubble, as Malachi 4 verses 1 says, while the elect will be covered by the Son of Righteousness with healing in his wings, even though they are scattered. Alright, so when Psalm says there is no word and there are no words, Psalms 19 it says, there is no word and there are no words, means their voice is not heard in their line, alright, when it is gone out through all the earth, and the words to the end of the world. Okay, which means that only the remnant will see the ruach hidden in the letter when the words, in its measurement or in its line is gone out to the ends of the earth. Okay, and only they will see the Son of Righteousness, that is Yahushua HaMashiach, all right, who is the fulfillment. So the physical voice is not heard. There is no word and words, but the line is gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. So he who has ears, let him hear. So the physical day was made to usher us into the day of Yahuwah, and he is Yahusha himself, because he has transitioned. Okay, and we transition into that day. Okay, Romans 10 verses 19, but I ask, did Yasharal not know? First Moses says, I shall provoke you to jealousy by those who are not a nation. I shall enrage you by an unwise nation. So Deuteronomy chapter 32 verses 21. So if you read Deuteronomy chapter 32 verses 20 and 21, so this is for where Shaul is quoting from in Romans chapter 10 verses 19. So when you read those verses, it says, and he said, let me hide my face from them, let me see what their end is, for they are a perverse generation, children in whom there is no trusting. Verse 21, they made me jealous by what is not al. They provoke me with their worthless matters. I make them jealous by those who are no people. I provoke them with a foolish nation. All right, so it's talking about when Yahuwah sends his covenant, his extension of his covenant, all right, to the ends of the world where his people are scattered. All right, he is going to make his people jealous by bringing in the Gentiles, right, who are the ones who are lost their ethnicity, and that's exactly what happened 2,000 years ago. All right, they 2,000 years ago, those people in the land, they knew their ethnicity, they knew which tribe they were from. Just like Shaul, even though he converted to Yahushua Mashiach, he says that he's from the tribe of Binyamin or Benjamin. So they knew from which tribe they were from. But can they know today? No, they cannot, because Yahusha has scattered everyone to the ends of the earth, and everybody has lost their ethnicity. Alright, that is the humility point that he has brought us to, where you have nothing else to attach yourself to but to him. Because when you attach to him, he is the one who's going to give you, as he says, that I will give you a new stone with a new name written on it, which only you will know. So he will give you back your ethnicity on the last day when he will appear. We will know from which tribe we are from, because we are the lost sheep of the house of Yasharal, and that's exactly where we need to go to preach the basharah. In Romans 10:20, and Isaiah boldly says, I was found by those not seeking me, I was made manifest to those not asking for me. Again, Shaul is quoting from Isaiah chapter 65, verses 1 and 2. And let's read those verses. I have to let myself be inquired of, not by those who asked. I was found not by those who sought me. I said, here I am to a nation not calling on my name. Verse 2, I have held out my hands all day long to a stubborn people who walk in a way that is no good after their own thoughts. After their own thoughts is nothing but carnal. So these messengers, all right, who are flying in the midst of the heaven, preaching the everlasting basharah, all right, which is the basharah from since the world began, all right, are none other than you and me. And where are we supposed to go? To the covenanted people, to those who are saying that they belong to Yahuwah or to Yahusha, okay, and that's where we need to go. That's where we need to warn and bring them out of that system. So that is the need of the hour that we are in. I pray that we be able to understand and discern, all right? Just as the apostles, they were able to discern. They didn't go out onto the roads. They went over to the cities of Yasharal, obeying what Yahusha said. You would have not gone over the cities of Yasharal till I come. So they understood it in the Ruach that the cities of Yasharal is the extension of the covenant, which is the people who are scattered to the ends of the world, and that's why they went to the synagogues, because that's where they gathered. So that's the truth, beloved. I believe you would understand what I'm trying to say, okay? And you preach the basharah to those people by warning them that Babylon is fallen, and warning them that if anyone worships the beast, that is the living creature, or his image, and receives his mark upon his forehead or upon his hand, all right, he will drink from the cup of the wrath of Elohim, all right. And if you, I'm sure you will come across people who are covenanted or remnant, whose hearts will immediately open up and they will turn to Yahushua Mashiach. We need to bring the basharah in the right perspective. So I thought I will share this with evidence from scriptures. Right? Yahushua Barak you. Hallelujah.